Call the collar 1, call this part 2, that is what we are tracing out, and call this 3. Okay, so I'm going to make my princess dart right here. So from this point, I'll take the measurement of what I have around my armhole. Here I have 10.5, so half of 10.5, I have 5.25. I'll come down by 1 inch for my princess dart. And then I'll bring in my pattern ruler on that point and position it to give me a beautiful princess dart line to the armhole, and I'll come out by 1 inch to accommodate my dart. So I'll be checking if I have 1 inch. Okay, so that is 1 inch, and I'm going to reconstruct my armhole. So I'm done with this part. So I'm going to trace out, this is what I'm going to trace out. Okay, I'm tracing out this. Can you see that? I'm going to trace it out to this, to this, to this, and it goes into the upper bust accommodation. I'll trace out the upper bust dart and all that, close them up separately. Remember, I told you we have a layer on top of a layer. Okay, so we are going to have a base layer, and then we have a lower layer as well. Alright, so for this, I'm going to simply trace out from here. I'll trace out from here, 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 and bring out this shape. So once I'm done tracing it out, I'm tracing 1, 2, 3. So once I'm done right now, I'll be back to show. Alright people, so this is exactly what we have for the collar. I've traced out the collar. So this is the collar we are going to sew to the dress. Okay, I'm sewing this collar 2 pieces. After hair staying, I'm going to sew on this line and on this line. Okay, leaving here open to sew to the main dress. And here, before the collar will come last. The second one I just traced out. I'm going to position it the way I traced it out. So this particular one, you are also going to sew it together with your lining, because if you look, you'll notice there's a trimming sewn inside here on the thumbnail. Okay, there's a trimming that is used to finish. So the trimming is going to be in between this layer, okay, which is the Ankara layer and another lining. So once that is sewn, then you can now bring in the bustier part. So this is a bustier part with the dart. So I'll quickly close up the dart. Okay, so I did not trace out this dart because it's going to be cut off. So like I said, this particular dress is actually very technical. So if you are not really super advanced, you might not be able to sew this. Okay, so you can see how I traced it out following the line. So I have the dart. Okay, so I am assuming I cut off the dart already. So what I'm going to do now is to close up the bust dart I have on the traced upper layer pattern. So I'm going to apply my adhesive right now to close up my bust dart. Okay, so I'm closing up my bust dart, as you can see. So bust dart is closed. So for number 3, make sure you mark out your bust point right here. Okay, make sure you mark out your bust point. So this is my bust point. I'll just make an arrow to it. So when I'll be sewing, I'm going to sew from below. Can you see that? Once I start sewing from below into the into the princess dart, you can see what we have right here. Everything matches up accordingly to form what we have right here. Okay, so I'm going to set this one aside. This is the pattern you need for the upper layer. I'll set it aside. Then this is the collar. So after you have sewn this with a different Ankara, you set it aside, and the collar, you prepare the collar and set it aside. So you can see I traced out the collar right from the collar. Can you see that? I just traced it out right from the collar. So I will set my traced out patterns aside, okay? And then we'll go into the construction of the princess dart of this other layer. So I'm going to repeat the same thing I did for the princess dart other layer. So I'll just go in, as you can see, and the midpoint is here. I'll come down by 1 inch, and I'm going to place my pattern ruler to the bust points, and I'll come out by 1 inch for that accommodation, and from there I'll connect to my armhole. So that is all we need, and I'm going to cut now. I'm cutting this pattern right now. You can see how I'm cutting it now because I've already traced out the other part. So I'm cutting the whole pattern into the bust, into